It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce three of the gentlemen who put Despicable Me together. Welcome, Team Despicable Me, to Fandango FrontRunners. Very happy to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
This is a film franchise that has now grossed $1.5 billion. The second film has earned 2 Oscar nominations for Best Animated Film and Best Original Song. It's become such a dominant force in the animation world. I would like to know from you, Chris, when did you have an inkling that this was a franchise that could really amount to something huge?
Well, the way you approach making a film is or at least for me, is I never think about how big the film's going to be in terms of box office. But you really try to gauge what your own response is to the process of the storytelling and the visual development and, and watching the movie come together. And for me, I had left 20th Century Fox, where I'd been for about 13 and a half years, and started a new company in partnership with Universal. I didn't know what stories we were going to tell. And an ex-colleague of mine called me and asked if I would meet with a Spanish animator named Sergio Pablos. And Sergio had worked at Disney previously and then moved back to Spain to start a small animation studio. And we met for breakfast, and he had 5 stories that he wanted to pitch. And I listened to one, and it was fine. And then he started to show me some images for a second one. And he started to tell me the very simple story about this villain who is a great villain, world, dominant villain, who is trying to pull off a crime and ends up adopting 3 little girls, and through that finds love for the very first time in his life. And that simple through line, just the very essence of it, struck me. And the first thing I knew was I wanted to tell this story when I was listening to it. The second thing I knew was that I wanted Cinco and his partner Ken, who I had collaborated with, to write the movie. But the most important thing that I found, from the moment I told Cinco and Ken about this story, to, when Aitor learned about this story, when Pharrell Williams heard the story, when Steve Carell, who we had worked with before on Horton, everybody was responding to the idea of an antagonist as a protagonist in an animated film. It began to suggest something that was different from all of these great movies in animation that people had enjoyed, and there was a real appetite to say, that everybody felt of like, wow, you're making a movie about this, really, grouchy, at times nasty guy who goes out into the world and does bad things. And there was something that was so engaging about that to every artist who we approached. And I think, like Cinco and Ken's immediate reaction was like, yes. And we watched that happen throughout the entire process of assembling the team.
Yeah, I remember it was a breakfast meeting, I think, when you showed us those pictures, and Ken and I we're in right away, because I'm a dad, we each have 3 kids, and we just identified with the fact that all dads kind of have to stop being villains when they become dads. All men have to stop being villains. And so it was such a relatable idea, but then so unique that we hadn't seen a villain as the protagonist.
So let me ask you, Cinco, the same question. When did you have an inkling that this was a movie that was going to connect with people?
Yeah, I think the big moment for me, and it was for Ken too, because we were sitting at the first test screening together. And you're going to get laughs, and people were laughing. And at the very end, there were a couple of the moms walking out, and we overheard one of them turn to the other and said, "I didn't think I was going to cry today." And then it sort of gave us chill. We turned to each other like, wait, are we making the moms cry with this movie, this crazy, silly movie? Did we actually, you know, because we obviously wanted it to have heart, and we felt it would, but that was a moment when I thought, oh my gosh, we're accomplishing something even beyond kind of what we were hoping to accomplish. And then we felt like this could maybe really take off in a bigger way than we had hoped.
How about for you, Heitor?
For me, two parts. First, when I heard the title, and I said, Despicable Me, I said, oh, there's a lot of music in it. You know, so I hadn't even seen the movie yet. You know, just the, you know, it's kind of love and hate, and, you know, hot and cold, all that stuff. And then, for me, when I saw the first bits of picture, was the relationship of the girls. You know, there's journey, you know, from Mrs. Hattie's house and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, there's relationship with Gru. And as a musician, I'm a father too, but as a musician, the pleasure of having Pharrell, you know, in the studio, you know, for like 3 weeks, a month or so. You know, he set up, you know, his gear in my studio, and every day we would look at picture and just have fun. And the more we jammed, the more we improvised, the more we realized that it was all about ideas that had heart to it. If it was just funky for funky's sake, if it was just funny for funny's sake, it was very short-lived. Anything that had emotion attached to it, and it really made the movie more colorful, whatever. So following that path, then it was just fun, you know?
I love it. Well, keep watching for more with the guys from Despicable Me 2 on Fandango FrontRunners.